We're in Mozambique's capital, Maputo, to get a sense of how this economy is faring. Well, for some insight now, we're joined by Standard Bank Chief Economist for the region. That's Fausio Mussa.
Well, this has been a quite difficult year, challenging year. We have had a lot of noise from an economic point of view. Mozambique used to present single-digit inflation for many years, relatively stable currency for a long period as well. And this year we have had, starting last year, we have had the metal starting to depreciate, reflecting as well some decline on export revenue. But this year we have experienced unprecedented levels of depreciation. The metal at an annual basis lost 90% to the dollar in October. Fortunately, we started to see some change, some improvement on that. And it seems that we have been to the worst from a currency point of view. So I'm quite encouraged by recent developments. But it's been a very difficult year. We have seen inflation reaching single digits. October reading was 25.5, and we expect it to peak somewhere between now and the end of the first quarter next year. And then from there, from an inflation point of view, we also may see some improvement. Okay. So, we have been operating in the, I would say, quite challenging environment. But despite that, we see some signals of resilience. When we look at foreign direct investment statistics, it remains roughly around $3 billion. Taking into account all that the economy has gone through is still encouraging. And we have just heard some good news that the floating LNG project is moving ahead. The Italian ENI project is going ahead up north in the country. So that, I believe, it kind of helps to boost sentiment and maybe enter the next year with better prospects, I would say.
All right. So this depreciation in the metal and subsequent inflation, what impact has it had on the real economy and on the people of Mozambique?
As you may have noticed, and a recent study published just indicated that Mozambique remains a quite poor country. Poverty levels have improved a little bit. We're running 45% roughly poverty rate for the population. And an item, apart from, I will touch the currency and inflation impact, but before reaching those macroeconomic variables, we have had a difficult year from an agriculture point of view. The El Nino effect, which affects the countries in the region, including Mozambique. So people really are having a difficult time. If we take into account that most of the families live from subsistence agriculture, then agriculture not performing, especially in the southern areas of the country, because up north they seem to have had not a bad year. So people are impacted primarily by the climate change. And then, of course, in urban areas, then you feel more the impact of a currency and inflation. So I would say disposable income has reduced substantially, and people are having a really difficult time. And I see hope in future. But there is a lot of things that needs to be resolved. From the political side, from the economic point of view. It seems that we still need tight policies for the months to come before we would say we achieve macroeconomic stability.
Okay. You mentioned that FDI remains relatively high. Which sectors is that going into?
It's basically the traditional mining sector. This year, I would say nearly half of it went to the mining and the transport associated to the mining. There was also substantial investment in the southern region, which was for the gas project in Nyambane.
I mean, one of the big good news stories about Mozambique has been the discovery of gas. Are we already seeing a translation of that into a change in people's lives or increase in incomes, or is it yet to come on stream altogether?
I would say it's still early days to talk. I mean, what we can say is it improves sentiment. Yes. Obviously, is a capital, I would say, capital-intensive kind of project. It will take time before people start feeling the positive impact. But of course, it's as the companies move into developing those reserves, we expect massive inflows of money into the Mozambican economy. I would say the first phase of the project is likely to help Mozambique to achieve some level of stability from a currency point of view. And taking into account that Mozambique imports most of the food and other items that it consumes, having a stable currency, it's already plus for this economy. Okay. So initial stage of the project, I would expect that to be the case. And then, of course, there is a component of employment that those projects will require from the economy. And I see also some linkages with the rest of the economic sectors. But we still, I would say, we still need to see first the companies achieving a final investment decision. And we seem to be quite close on the E&I project.
Great. Yeah. And what is your outlook for the economy in terms of GDP growth?
I mean, in terms of GDP, we remain less optimistic than authorities. I mean, this year, government expects GDP this year to close at around 3.9. Average for the 3 quarters is around 4. We seem to be quite close to where they see GDP this year. The budget document that is going to Parliament in the next few days, it targets a GDP growth for 5.5 next year. We believe that the economy has not bottomed yet. I mean, we're starting to see some signals, positive signals of currency stabilizing and appreciating, but it's going to take some time before the economy starts to recover. So there is typically a lag between what the macroeconomic indicators tell us and what reality on the ground. So I believe that only towards the second half next year we may talk about an improvement economic situation. Okay. So between now and then, I believe the economic conditions will remain difficult. So I'm not as optimistic as 5.5%. That would be great.
Or those heady days when you had double digits. Yes.
That would be great, but unfortunately, I don't think it's the case. There's some pain to be taken before things improve.